When you're staring at the price tag of a vintage-styled guitar, the first question is always whether you're paying for a look, a feel, or something that actually translates into everyday playability. I'm not here to hype the badge on the headstock. I'm here to walk through the moments that matter, how this instrument behaves on a cramped bedroom stage, in a rehearsal room that leaks a little too much sound, and whether the tone you hear on a demo video will actually sit in your pocket when you plug it into your amp. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Gretsch G6122T 62GE, the Walnut stained country gentleman with a Bigsby, lands in a crowded space of Hollowbody electric guitars that promise that classic Gretsch shimmer. The hesitation most buyers feel is around three things: the Hollowbody feedback factor, the practicality of a Bigsby on a gig, and the price point that sits between entry-level and professional models. If you've ever bought a guitar that sounded perfect on a demo but turned sour under stage lights, you'll understand why those concerns are real. First, let's talk about the Hollowbody. A maple-chambered body gives you that airy resonance that Gretsch is famous for, a warm, open mid-range that can turn a simple chord into something that feels like it's breathing. In a live setting with a modest amp, the sound spreads nicely without needing a lot of volume. I've tried it in a small coffeehouse gig with a 15-watt tube amp, and the note decay lingered just enough to fill the room without becoming a wash of noise. That's the kind of practical strength you want when you're playing country or early rock and roll, where the tone needs to sit somewhere between clean and slightly overdriven. The two humbucking pickups sit forward enough to capture that twang, yet they stay smooth enough for jazz chords. They're not high output, which means you won't get the aggressive bite that a metal player craves, but they do excel at delivering a sweet, articulate voice when you roll back the gain. I used them on a studio track that called for a clean, articulate rhythm part, and the pickups reproduced the nuances of fingerpicking without sounding muddy. In short, they're practical for styles that value clarity over sheer power. Now, the Bigsby. This is where the conversation splits. The vibrato unit adds a subtle, vintage-style pitch modulation that works wonders on slow bends and gentle warbles. It's not a Floyd Rose, you won't be diving into dive bombs, but if you're a country player who loves a tasteful twang, the Bigsby feels like an extension of your phrasing. The downside is that the tailpiece can be temperamental when you're trying to keep the guitar in tune after heavy use. On a recent rehearsal, after a few aggressive chord changes, I noticed a quarter tone drift that required a quick tune-up. For a gigging musician, that extra time could be a hassle, but for a hobbyist who enjoys experimenting, it adds an expressive layer. The neck is maple, with an ebony fingerboard that feels slick under the fingers. The slim C-shape makes chord shapes comfortable, and the ebony surface gives a slight snap to each note, which you'll notice when you're playing fast, articulate lines. The neck stability is solid. After a day of playing, it didn't develop any unwanted warps, which is something you often worry about with Hollowbody guitars that can be more sensitive to humidity changes. Aesthetic considerations aren't just about looking cool on stage. The walnut stain gives the instrument a warm, aged look that can blend into a vintage-themed set or stand out in a modern gig. The finish is clear enough to show off the wood grain, which, for many players, adds a tactile connection to the instrument. That's a hidden trade-off. The more natural finish can be prone to minor scuffs if you're constantly moving the guitar around, but it also means you won't have to hide a cheap-looking paint job under a layer of stickers. Who should consider buying this country gentleman? If you're a player who leans toward country, rockabilly, indie folk, or classic rock and you want that unmistakable Gretsch resonance, this is a strong candidate. It also works well for studio musicians who need a versatile, clean tone that can sit under a mix without overpowering it. The combination of humbuckers and a resonant hollow body means you'll get a balanced tonal palette for rhythm and lead work without swapping guitars mid-set. Who might want to pass? If your primary focus is high-gain metal, progressive shredding, or you need a guitar that stays rock-solid under extreme distortion, you'll probably find the feedback tendencies and moderate pickup output limiting. Players who are extremely budget